You're watching the Brother Henry and You Show.
Engaging. Informative. Inspirational.
Enjoy today's program.
Welcome back to part 2 of the Art of Forgiveness. Trust and pray that last week's broadcast was a blessing to you. Kind of recap, last week we talked about Father, forgive them. How do we respond when we're hurt? How do we respond when people that say they love us betrayed us or hurt us in some way? We should respond with just letting it go. But sometimes that's hard to do, and that kind of leads up into what I want to talk about today, and that is the difference between progressive forgiveness and automatic forgiveness. Sometimes, especially in many churches, we're real quick to pass judgment on people who don't forgive quickly. But I believe that we should show grace to those people too, and that for some people, they are forgiving them. We're going to go deeper into this, which is progressive forgiveness. It doesn't mean they're not going to forgive them. It just means it's progressive. It's a process. It happens over time. So today, men in the body of Christ show very little grace to those who don't or may not forgive as fastly or as quickly as others do. And the truth is, how someone chooses to forgive should be respected. I mean, if a person chooses to forgive quickly, that should be respected. And if a person chooses not to forgive so quickly, that should be respected. Why do I say we should respect that? Well, the reason why I say we should respect that is because we don't know how damaged that person may be. And you have to understand that when a person has been emotionally damaged, emotionally hurt, sometimes it takes time for them to forgive those who have hurt them. Now you may say, well, it didn't take me that long. Well, you're not them. You're not them. And I've often said this, that what worked for one person may not work for the next person. So we need to show grace. We preach a lot about grace, we preach a lot about love, but we show very little love and very little grace to people who choose to forgive progressively and not automatically right away. You have one side that feels that you have to forgive quickly, and you have the other that feels that you're not forgiving quick enough. People forgive in two ways. I'm going to give you these. If you want to write them down, you can. Number one, people forgive in an automatic way, and they forgive in a progressive way. I call that automatic forgiveness, and I call it progressive forgiveness. And let me explain the two. Automatic forgiveness are people who forgive without question or without thought. They do it spontaneously without conscious intentions. Those who forgive automatically, somebody can hurt them, and I think it's a gift, to be honest. Somebody can hurt them, betray them, do them wrong, and it don't even bother them. They're like, okay, I forgive you. They move right along with their life. Those type of people are what you call automatic forgiveness. They forgive without question, without thought, and that's a good thing. But for a lot of people, that don't always work. You also have the other category of people that's called progressive forgiveness. These are people who do plan to forgive the person who hurt them, but they do it over time. I just said this earlier. It's something that is developing gradually or in stages, step by step. I don't care who you are, you have to respect that. You can quote scriptures. If you don't forgive, your Father will forgive you. Blah, 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 blah. It don't matter. You have to respect how a person chooses to forgive. Whether they do it without thought or question, whether they do it fastly or quickly, or whether somebody do it in stages or in steps, or they do it over time. progressive forgiveness, I think about a female that's about to have a baby. Familiar with the term delivering. Well, delivering is just like forgiving. Now, if the doctor comes in the room and says she is delivering a baby, it doesn't mean that the event occurred fully yet. It's in the process. It's in the works. Well, it's just like a person who progressively forgives. They are forgiving them or in the process of doing it, which I would give them who forgive progressively even more credit that they're even considering forgiving a person who have hurt them, because they don't have to at all. How someone chooses to forgive sometimes depends on how wounded they are. If it's a deep wound, sometimes people have the tendency to forgive, but they do this in stages. This is absolutely, and I don't know who's watching, but I want you to know, this is absolutely okay. And you have to look at it from this perspective as well, that it's their way of coping. It's their way of healing with whatever happened to him or to her. That's the way it goes. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I view life. People who are hurt, sometimes they don't forgive right away. Sometimes it's a process. Now, I want to encourage you to hold on to that for years. I know some people right now, well, he did this to me 30 years ago. That was 30 years ago. You're still holding on to something that somebody did to you 30 years ago. Now, there does come a time where you do have to let it go. I just got to be real with you today. You have to let it go. You may be forgiving that person progressively, but you have to eventually get to that point where you don't give that person that much authority over you. You don't give that person that much power over you or control over you. Now, if you struggle with unforgiveness, and I have struggled with this at times, and I still do from time to time, that's not a bad thing. If you struggle with unforgiveness today, that doesn't make you a bad person, just like a person who has inner struggles or inner battles that may be unknown to other people. You're not a bad person because you struggle with unforgiveness. Neither does it make you a bad person. You are looking for creative ways not only to forgive, but for inner healing. There are things that we can do to help those who may be struggling with forgiving someone. I want to give you a few steps right quick. Number one, listen to what they have to say. You know, sometimes I see people a lot of times, they seem like they have all the answers. And to be honest, I don't have all the answers. But I believe that the greatest healing that you can give a person who has been hurt, just listen and hear. Sometimes we want to open up the Bible. I always tell people, use the Bible if necessary. Sometimes you don't have to open up the Bible. Sometimes it's good to just listen to people. Listen to their hearts. That's the greatest medicine that you can give a person. Listen to them. Number two, don't draw conclusions so quickly. How many know that there are two sides to a story? You don't know what happened. Maybe you got one person telling you one side, you got another person that's telling you the other side. I had one preacher tell me a few days ago, one of my dear friends, he said, when you got two sides of a story, the truth is somewhere there in the middle. In other words, you don't know which side to lean on or to go with, because you have two different stories, but the truth is always somewhere in the middle. So don't draw conclusions. Listen to what they have to say. Don't draw conclusions so quickly. Number three, extend grace to the individual. Let them know, hey, I struggle with unforgiveness. I struggle with bitterness. I struggle with hatred. And I know a lot of people are not that authentic. They're not that real to talk about these things, because we don't want people to see, especially in the church, we wore masks for so long that we don't want the people to see the real us. But it's time for people to see the real you. It's time for people to see that, hey, I struggle with hatred. I struggle with this. I struggle with that. Because what that does, when you and that person is sitting down and you start to open up to them about some of your own inner struggles and things that you deal with in your own personal life, you actually give them an opportunity to be more open with you. But if you're closed-minded, if you're drawing conclusions already, if you're not listening, and all these things I'm telling you, you're just a huge turnoff. And you're not really healing the person, you're actually creating more wounds. You are actually becoming more of a problem to that person rather than a solution. So number 4, if needed, and I just talked about this, talk about your own personal experiences. Talk about some of your own personal struggles that you deal with. Number 5, fully engage. Stay connected. Build a bond with that person. Grow with that person. Because let me tell you something, none of us are there yet. None of us are there yet. And I'm saying that in terms of where we're all at in the natural. We all have struggles. I don't care how anointed you are. I don't care if you're a pastor or whatever label you may carry, title you may carry. Nobody is really there yet. Even the chief apostle, Apostle Paul, said, I haven't arrived. Paul said, I hadn't attained it yet. But he said, one thing I am doing, I'm looking forward and I'm not going backwards. Some of you need to do that today. You need to go forward, forgive, and not worry about what happened to you in the past. Sometimes forgiving someone does take time. We have to understand that. For some people, it takes time. You can't expect some people to do it overnight. Again, it depends on the nature of the situation. A lot of people don't have what I call popcorn forgiveness. It can forgive just like that. That's automatic forgiveness. If you can do that, I applaud you. There are other people that can't do that, unfortunately. So, when people are hurting, it is important that we look for ways to heal their wounds, not add additional wounds. And that's why we got to be careful how we carry ourselves. We have to be careful what we say, what we do, because we don't know what level of hurt that individual may be in. The most effective thing you can do in a situation like this is to offer compassion. Try to see yourself, and I think this will help a lot of people. Try to see yourself in their shoes, so to speak. What would I do if I was in their situation? How would I respond to whatever circumstances that I had encountered? How would I want to be made to feel? How would I want to feel if I was in their shoes? Ask yourself these questions. If it was me, how would I react? If it was me, how would I respond? If it was me, what would I do? That's very important, people. Very important. We would understand other people maybe a tad bit better if we would just put ourselves in their shoes. As it relates to progressive forgiveness, just like it may take time to forgive, we must also be aware that healing is progressive as well. If I took a knife or something and stabbed myself in the arm, that's not going to heal overnight. It's going to be progressive. It takes time to do that. It's the same way with a person that's been wounded. Same way with a person that's been hurt. It literally takes time for them to heal. So when a person has been wounded by someone, the wounds may be very deep. Therefore, it may take a while to heal. And I know from personal experience that many times complete forgiveness doesn't always manifest until there is complete healing. Man, that's powerful right there. I'm going to say it again. Complete forgiveness doesn't manifest until there is complete healing. Some of y'all need to write that down. That's very important. Let us be mindful of the needs of others. Is that why Jesus came? I believe that's why he came. Let us be mindful of the needs of others. Let's never carry a critical spirit towards those who are hurting, towards those who choose to forgive a certain way. Let us not carry a critical spirit towards those who choose to process their unforgiveness. And whatever way they choose to process that, you may never fully understand what's going on with that person or the hurt that they've experienced. But try to understand. That's the greatest gift that you can give someone today. Well, thank you for watching. I am having a blast doing this series with you. This is some very in-depth teaching, powerful information that all of us need to just slowly digest, chew on day by day. Because every one of us, you may not be dealing with it right now, but it's coming down your street one of these days. Somebody's going to hurt you, somebody's going to betray you, somebody's going to do you wrong. We got to know how to deal with that. So that's why I'm going to tackle this subject. So I appreciate you guys watching. Join me next week. We will be talking about forgive and forget. Is that true? Is that even possible? We'll find out next week. God bless you.
Hi, my name's Heather. Thank you for watching the Brother Henry and You show today. If you've enjoyed the show today, visit us at facebook.com/The Brother Henry and You show. Thank you for watching and have a blessed day.